Imagine you are standing on the vast, sun-drenched savanna of the Amboseli National Park in Kenya. In the distance, a massive matriarch elephant lifts her trunk and emits a low, rumbling sound that vibrates through the very ground beneath your feet. To your ears, it sounds like a generic growl, a tectonic shift in the air. But to the herd, that sound wasn't just noise. It was a specific call directed at one individual. It was a name. For decades, we have looked at elephants and seen majestic, highly intelligent giants. We knew they were smart, we knew they had incredible memories, and we knew they felt deep emotions. But what we didn't know, what scientists have just confirmed, is that elephants are far more like us than we ever dared to imagine. They are the first non-human animals found to use individual names for one another without relying on imitation. This isn't just a minor biological footnote. This is a massive breakthrough that redefines our understanding of animal intelligence and the very nature of language itself. For a long time, we believed that humans were the only creatures on Earth capable of assigning arbitrary labels to things. We call a tree not because it sounds like a tree, but because we all agreed on the word. In the animal kingdom, most communication is ritualized. A growl means stay away. A chirp means I'm here. And a howl might mean let's hunt. Some animals, like dolphins and parrots, have been known to use signature whistles or calls. However, those animals primarily learn to identify each other by mimicking the unique sound that the other individual makes. It's like if you only knew your friend's name was Putty Dave, because you spent all day imitating Dave's specific voice. But elephants are doing something entirely different. They are creating unique vocal identifiers for their friends and family members. They aren't mimicking the sounds of the individual they are calling. They are using a specific word that represents that individual. This is what scientists call arbitrary communication, and until now, it was thought to be a uniquely human trait. This discovery suggests that elephants possess a level of abstract thought that puts them in an elite category of cognitive ability. They have a social map of their world that is so complex they need specific names to navigate it. The study that uncovered this was a massive undertaking, involving years of field research and advanced artificial intelligence. Researchers from Colorado State University, Save the Elephants, and Elephant Voices spent months recording the vocalizations of African savanna elephants in 2 different regions of Kenya. They didn't just record a few noises, they captured thousands of rumbles. Elephant communication is incredibly deep. A lot of it happens at frequencies so low that the human ear can't even pick it up. These infrasonic rumbles can travel for miles through the ground and the air, allowing elephants to stay in touch even when they are far apart. Using AI algorithms, the researchers began to look for patterns in these rumbles. They wanted to see if they could predict which elephant a call was intended for based solely on the acoustic structure of the sound. The results were staggering. The AI could identify the recipient of a call with a high degree of accuracy, far better than chance. This proved that the calls contained specific information directed at a single individual, but the real test was yet to come. The scientists took these recorded names and played them back to the elephants through high-power speakers. Imagine the scene as a group of elephants is grazing peacefully. Suddenly, a speaker hidden in the brush plays a rumble recorded weeks ago. When an elephant heard its own forename being called, it didn't just look up, it responded with enthusiasm. It vocalized back. It flapped its ears in excitement, and it walked toward the source of the sound. But here is the kicker. If that same elephant heard a rumble directed at a different individual, it largely ignored it. It knew that the I-word being spoken wasn't for them. This wasn't just a general greeting. It was a targeted, personal call. To understand why this is so important, we have to look at the structure of elephant society. Elephants live in what is called a fission-fusion society. This means they don't just stay in one big group all the time. They split off into smaller family units to find food and water, and then they merge back together into massive clans for social events or protection. In a world that is constantly shifting, where your family might be 5 miles away behind a wall of acacia trees, being able to call out to a specific individual is a massive evolutionary advantage. If a mother loses sight of her calf, she doesn't just scream into the void. She calls the calf's name. If a matriarch needs to signal to a specific sister that it's time to move, she doesn't have to walk over and nudge her. She can broadcast a message specifically for her. This discovery points to a level of social complexity that is almost hard to wrap our heads around. To use names, you need a high level of empathy. You have to recognize that the other elephant is a separate individual with its own identity. You have to have a theory of mind. the understanding that others have thoughts and feelings similar to your own. We've seen elephants mourn their fallen companions. We've seen them rescue calves from mud pits, and we've seen them show incredible kindness to other species. But the use of names is the ultimate proof of their internal intellectual world. Think about what this means for the way we view nature. We often project our own systems onto the wild, thinking that animals are just driven by instinct and basic biological urges. But the more we look, the more we find that the gap between humans and high-functioning animals is more like a thin line. Elephants have been walking the earth for millions of years. Their brains are huge, the largest of any land mammal, and they are packed with neurons in the regions responsible for memory and emotion. They have been having these conversations for eons, likely long before humans even developed our own complex languages. We are just now finally learning how to listen. The use of AI in this study is a great example of a huge nature project in the digital age. We are using the most advanced technology we have created to decode the most ancient technology of the wild. By feeding thousands of hours of elephant rumbles into a machine learning model, we are essentially building a translator. We are beginning to realize that the white noise of the forest or the savanna is actually a rich, dense data stream of information. Every rumble, every trumpet, and every purr carries meaning. Scientists are now asking if elephants have names for other things. 2. If they have names for each other, do they have a name for water? Do they have a name for danger? Do they have a specific word for human? If they are capable of arbitrary vocal labeling for individuals, there is no biological reason they couldn't apply that same logic to objects or concepts. We might be on the verge of discovering that elephants have a proto-language that is far more sophisticated than we ever imagined. This also changes our approach to conservation. When we lose an elephant, we aren't just losing a specimen or a number in a population count. We are losing a named member of a society. We are losing someone whose name is spoken by their peers. It adds a whole new layer of emotional weight to the effort to protect these creatures. Imagine the silence in a herd when a name is called and there is no one left to answer. It makes the preservation of their habitat and their safety feel even more urgent. What's truly fascinating is that elephant names aren't just static sounds. They seem to involve a degree of creativity. Some offspring might have a nickname or a variation of their name used by their mother. The rumbles are rich in harmonics and subtle tonalities that the human ear can barely distinguish, but to an elephant they are as clear as a bell. They can hear the difference between a name called in a hurry and a name called in a greeting. They can hear the emotion behind the label. The researchers also found that elephants are more likely to use names when they are calling over long distances or when they are out of sight of each other. When they are standing right next to each other, they might use more general sounds or touch, but when the bond is stretched by distance, the mayam becomes the anchor that keeps the relationship intact. This mirrors exactly how humans use language. We use names to grab someone's attention across a crowded room, or to call out to them when they are in another part of the house. For the people working on this project, the moment of confirmation was life-changing. To see an elephant respond to a recorded sound as if it were a living friend calling out to them is a powerful experience. It bridges the world of clinical science and raw emotional reality. It proves that there is a someone inside that massive body, a someone with a name. As we look at the larger scope of nature, we have to wonder how many other animals are doing this. We found it in dolphins through mimicry, and now in elephants through arbitrary naming. Who is next? Prime candidates would be other highly social, large-brained animals. Orcas, perhaps? Great apes? The more we realize that naming is an evolutionary solution to social complexity, the more we should expect to find it wherever social complexity exists. This discovery should also make us rethink our urban environments and how we interact with the natural world. If we are surrounded by named individuals, whether they are elephants in Africa or perhaps even the crows in our backyard, it changes the vibe of the planet. It makes the world feel a lot less lonely. It means we are sharing the earth with other civilizations that have their own histories, their own relationships, and their own vocabularies. In terms of the technical side of the study, the AI had to be trained to filter out the background noise of the savanna. Wind, birds, insects, and other animals all create a cacophony of sound, but the AI was able to hone in on the specific acoustic dimensions that matter to elephants. One of the most interesting things they found was that elephant names often appear as a component of a larger rumble. It's not always a standalone word. It's often embedded in a sentence-like structure. For example, a rumble might translate to, "Hey, come over here." The fact that the name is a distinct, identifiable part of the sound is what made the AI's job possible. The implications for the study of brain evolution are massive. This suggests that the hardware required for language, the ability to connect a specific sound to a specific mental concept, can evolve independently in very different types of animals. Humans and elephants are separated by tens of millions of years of evolution. Our last common ancestor didn't have anything resembling language. This means that both species invented the concept of naming on their own because it was so useful for survival. This is called convergent evolution, where different species arrive at the same solution to the same problem. This also brings up the concept of culture. If elephants have names, those names have to be learned. A baby elephant isn't born knowing the names of its aunts and cousins. It has to listen, observe, and practice. This means elephants have a form of cultural transmission. They are passing down information and vocabulary from one generation to the next. This puts them in a very small club of animals that have a recognizable culture. Let's talk about the specific sound of these names. To us, they are low-frequency hums. But researchers have found that within those hums, there is a variation in frequency, timing, and amplitude. An elephant's vocal tract is massive, allowing them to produce a wide array of sounds. They have a laryngeal structure similar to ours but on a much grander scale. They can produce sounds that are incredibly delicate or sounds that can shake a vehicle. By manipulating their trunk, throat, and mouth, they can fine-tune these rumbles to carry specific packets of data. Imagine the huge nature project of the future. We could potentially create systems that allow us to communicate back while we are a long way from talking to elephants. Being able to recognize their names is the first step toward a true two-way understanding. We could use these sounds to warn elephants away from dangerous areas, like farms where they might come into conflict with people, or towards safe corridors for migration. Instead of using sirens or fences, we could simply use their own language to say, "Con asia, it's safer over here." It would be a much more harmonious way of coexisting with the giants of the savannah. The response from the scientific community has been one of pure excitement. This is the kind of discovery that happens once in a generation. It challenges the human exceptionalism that has dominated biology for centuries. We like to think of ourselves as being on top of a pyramid, but discoveries like this suggest that we are just one of many highly intelligent branches on the tree of life. Each branch has its own way of communicating, its own way of perceiving the world, and its own way of naming the ones they love. Think about the sheer memory capacity an elephant must have. In a lifetime that can span 70 years, an elephant will meet hundreds, if not thousands, of other individuals. If they are using names, they have to remember those names. They have to associate a specific sound with a specific face and a specific set of past experiences. This explains why elephants are famous for their memories. They aren't just remembering where the water is, they are remembering who is who in their massive social network. This research also highlights the importance of preserving the social structure of elephant herds. When poaching or habitat loss breaks apart a family, it's not just a loss of numbers, it's a loss of knowledge. It's like burning a library. The names, the relationships, and the oral history of that herd are gone. By understanding that they have names, we can see why it is so traumatic for them to lose members of their group. For the listeners out there who are passionate about the natural world, this should be a source of immense wonder. We live on a planet where giants are calling each other by name right under our noses. It's a reminder that there is so much mystery left in the world. We don't have to go to another planet to find alien intelligence. It's right here, walking through the tall grass in Kenya. The study also looked at the gender dynamics of naming, while the research primarily focused on females and their calves, because they have the most complex social lives. They also found evidence that males use and respond to names. Adult bull elephants are often thought of as loners, but they actually have their own social networks and bachelor pads where they interact. The ability to name a rival or a friend is just as important for them as it is for the matriarchs. Wait. Let's dive into the AI aspect again because it's truly the A engine of this discovery. The researchers used a technique called random forest modeling. They trained the model on a subset of the recordings where the caller and the receiver were known. The AI looked at over-subconscious acoustic features, stuff like the shimmer of the voice, or the way the pitch dropped at the end. Once the AI learned what a call for a specific elephant sounded like, it was tested on new recordings it had never heard before. The fact that the AI could still pick out the correct recipient confirmed that the naming wasn't a fluke. It was a consistent, repeatable part of elephant speech. What's even more impressive is that the names wasn't just a vocal tag like a dolphin's whistle. In dolphins, the signature whistle is often an imitation of the mother's whistle, or a unique sound the dolphin creates for itself. But with elephants, the caller is the one who creates the name in their own voice. It's an active label. This is a much higher form of communication, because it shows that the elephant has an internal symbolic representation of their friend. As we look at huge nature projects across the globe, from the rewilding of the American West to the massive reforestation efforts in the Amazon, this elephant discovery fits perfectly into the theme of restoring connection. We are learning that nature is more connected than we ever thought. Every species has a role, but some species have a voice. Understanding that voice is key to protecting them. The researchers have thousands of more rumbles to go through. They are looking for place names next. Do elephants have a word for the Mount Kilimanjaro area? Do they have a word for the Great River crossings? If they have the cognitive equipment for names, the possibilities are endless. We might find that elephants have a rich geography that they communicate to each other, sharing tips on where the best fruit is or where the rain has recently fallen. This discovery also impacts how we handle elephants in captive environments. If elephants need names in complex social interaction to thrive, keeping them in isolation or in small, unnatural groups is even more detrimental than we realized. It's like putting a human in a room where no one speaks their language and no one knows their name. It helps us build a more empathetic framework for how we care for the animals that are under our protection. The journey to this discovery was long. It started with researchers in the 1980s who first noticed that elephants seemed to have special rumbles for certain family members, but the technology of the time wasn't good enough to prove it. They could feel it in their gut, but they couldn't see the patterns in the data. It took 40 years of technological advancement for our tools to catch up to elephant intelligence. It makes you wonder what else we are currently sampling, but don't have the tools to understand yet. Are trees talking to each other through the wood wide web of fungi in ways that are even more complex than we know? Are whales composing epics that span oceans? The confirmation of elephant names is a reminder that patience is a virtue in science. It takes time to build a relationship with a wild species. You can't just show up for a weekend and expect to learn their secrets. The scientists on this project spent decades in the dust and the heat, earning the trust of the herds and meticulously documenting their lives. That dedication is what paid off in this shocking and beautiful discovery. It also speaks to the importance of open-source science and collaboration. The researchers shared their data and their AI models, allowing others to verify their findings. This is how we move forward as a species, by working together to understand the other species we share this planet with. For the people who live alongside elephants, this discovery is often met with a smile and a "we already knew that." Local trackers and indigenous groups have long spoken of the incredible intelligence of elephants. They have stories of elephants recognizing individual people and reacting to them by character. Science is often just the process of providing a formal proof for things that people living close to nature have known for centuries. That formal proof is what allows us to change laws, secure funding for massive conservation projects, and shift the global perspective. So, what is the core takeaway from all of this? It's that we are not alone, not just in the sense that there are other animals, but in the sense that there are other people out there. They just happen to have trunks and 4-ton bodies. They are living lives of depth, meaning, and connection. They are calling out to their children, greeting their friends, and navigating a complex world with the help of those who know their name. As the sun sets over the Kenyan savanna and the low rumbles of the herds begin to fill the air, we can listen with a new sense of respect. Those sounds aren't just the background noise of the wild. They are the voices of a community. They are the sounds of names being called across the plains. And finally, for the first time, we can say with certainty that we know what they are doing. They are talking to each other, just like we do. This breakthrough is a testament to the power of curiosity and the incredible complexity of life on Earth. It reminds us that every time we think we've figured out the alpha limit of animal intelligence, nature shows us something even more amazing. We are part of a world that is loud with the voices of named individuals, all of us trying to stay connected in the great, vast landscape of life. The researchers are already planning their next trip. There are more herds to record, more rumbles to decode, and more names to find. The Elephant Dictionary is being written one rumble at a time, and as it grows, our understanding of our place in the world grows with it. We are not the only ones who know who we are. The elephants know too, and they've been saying it all along. If this discovery has taught us anything, It's that we should never stop looking for the hidden languages of the world. Whether it's the chemical signals of a tear or the infrasonic rumble of an elephant, nature is always talking. The biggest nature project of all isn't something we build. It's the project of finally, truly learning how to listen to the world that has been talking to us since the beginning of time. The story of elephants and their names is just beginning. As the AI gets smarter and our recordings get clearer, we will likely find that their vocabulary is even broader than we think. We might find that they have stories, that they have histories, and that they have a way of seeing the world that is entirely unique. But for now, the fact that they have names is enough to change everything. It's a beautiful, staggering thought. In the quiet moments of the African bush, a mother elephant is looking at her calf and speaking a word that means only him. A matriarch is calling out to her sister, using a name that she has known for 50 years. The air is thick with identity, with friendship, and with the simple, profound act of being known. That is the magic of this discovery. It's not just about science. It's about the fact that on this big, beautiful planet, everyone wants to be called by their name.